a production of the Women of Color Empowerment Institute. We are your hosts. I'm Bernadette Norris Weeks.
I'm Michelle Austin Pammies.
And I'm Kathy Eggleston.
Today, our show is all about retiring Superwoman. And we have a very special guest. She is Aseanté Renee, and she's written books and articles, and she's done a lot of speaking on the issue of what we as women of color need to do to better take care of ourselves. Welcome to the show, Aseanté.
So happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming.
We're happy to have you. Listen, we understand that you're writing a lot and speaking a lot about the topic of being a superwoman.
Yes.
And the toll it takes.
Yes.
And there's such a thing as Superwoman Syndrome. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, tell us about that.
So here's the thing with Superwoman. Well, let me ask you all a question. Are you all possibly the go-to friend in your friend circles? Mm-hmm. Are you the strong friend? Are you the one that handles most things in your family in terms of like planning events, planning vacations, taking care of the ups and downs within the family relationships?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to disclose everything. Mm-hmm. Some of that.
Check.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Here is the thing. It is not, it is truly by design that us specifically as Black women hold so much, take care of so much. Because quite often, especially those of us that have an enslaved history, our value was tethered to our output, our production, and our productivity. We weren't seen as women outside of doing things for other people. And over generations, we have inherited that and taken that on and put on that cape for ourselves, where we now see it as a banner to be able to be all things to all people at all times. And to be quite honest, I'm pretty sure we're exhausted from that. And so the work that I do is around unpacking that, taking off some of the capes. I'm not saying you have to take off every single cape that you have, because you can't take off the mother cape or the partner cape, but you don't have to wear them all at the same time. Right? And so some of the work that we get into is truly around how are you taking care of yourself? How are you listening to yourself? How are you asking yourself, what do I need before I start answering the question for everybody else? It really is the put on your own oxygen mask before you put on someone else's.
That's a lot. So let me ask you this. I am someone who does a lot of things at one time. And I've become really used to multitasking. And it's something I really want to get away from. I want to try to singularly focus so that I can be more present in different situations. And I'm sure that I'm not unlike a lot of our viewers. And so how does one get away from that and stop doing, talking on the phone while you're driving and doing 6 other things? I mean, how do you undo that?
Time. So also for my type A people, you're not going to fix it in one day. You didn't learn how to multitask and do all these different things at one time in the course of a day, so you're not going to unlearn it in a day. And so one of the big things that I talk to people about is like, give yourself grace and give yourself time to unlearn things that it took you decades to learn. Coping mechanisms that it took you decades to get familiar with and comfortable with. And so the question I will ask you is, do you truly think you're doing each of those things well? Or are you just completing them?
I think I'm doing all of them well. I know I'm probably not doing them as well as I could be doing them if I was singularly focused. And so
that's the first
issue.
piece. That's the first piece. Just because you can do something competently does not mean you're doing it to the best of your ability. I truly don't believe in multitasking. Our brain does not know how to do all these different things at the same time very well. We can do them technically, but is it well? No. Is it efficient? No. Is it complete? Yes. But because we've done it for so long, we assume we're good at it. No, you're just familiar with it. And so the first thing I would ask you when you're thinking about what can I pull back from is, if I'm working on one thing at a time, let's cut down the amount of time I'm working on each thing that I'm doing. Right? Because our brain pivots to, I'm working on this project, I'm working on this thing, oh, I also have to do X, and then you maybe jump over and do this other thing. Oh, I also have to start dinner, or I also have to, you can put things in buckets and give yourself time frames to do what you need to do so you can focus all of your energy on that one thing for that short period of time. It'll actually take less time to do the thing that you need to do versus trying to do 8 things in 20 minutes. You can do one thing in 3 and get more things done.
All right. Point taken, Aseanté, point taken. I want to ask you, kind of back up and talk about where that starts, oftentimes is our goal setting. I do have lots of wonderful friends who want to save the world. Frankly, there's a lot of change that needs to happen, and we want to save the world, and we'd love to save it by next Tuesday. So talk to us about really starting with setting realistic goals.
I think in order to set realistic goals, you have to start with what do you actually have capacity for, and what type of resources do you have right now. We have the things that we would love to have happen, and then what we actually have time for, right? It's time management on a larger scale, but more so internally. What do I, as this human, as this person, wake up and have capacity for? If I am working at 100%, okay, I have 100% to give to this project, to work on this thing, to do this thing and do this thing. If I'm only coming in with 12%, I can't give 100% to all of these goals today. And so I think, one, being able to set realistic goals with what you have capacity for at the moment, the time frame it's actually and realistically going to take to get the goal completed, and holding that with an open hand, not being so prescriptive around, I have to have this goal done by this time exactly, and if it's not, then it's a failure. I can have this piece of this goal identified. I can have this phase of this goal taken care of. And then it kind of gives you a little bit more grace to work within, pivoting and moving and shifting as the goal might need to evolve and grow. But before you can do any of that, you have to know what you have capacity for. Because what often happens is we have these beautiful goals, we have these amazing plans set up, and we're too tired to actually start executing them. And so then we feel like we're not reaching the goal, we're not meeting our goal, we're not doing what we need to do, but it's because we didn't start out with the right information. It's like saying, I want to go to the airport to pick up someone, but I need a full tank of gas to get to the airport. I only have a quarter tank of gas. And I'm surprised when I get a fourth of the way there, my car stops on me. I didn't have enough gas to begin with. And so I needed to reassess what my goal needed to look like in order to get to the place that I planned on being at.
At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
Let me follow up with you a little bit, because you're using that term capacity, and one of my favorite phrases is, I can do anything, but I can't do everything.
Yes.
But I do feel like a lot of our sisters, women of color in particular, stop at, I can do anything, because they have capability, but do they have capacity? What do you think about that?
So as a recovering perfectionist and recovering type A myself, I've had to start telling myself, just because I can doesn't mean I should. Just because I can do this doesn't mean I should do this. Is this something that someone else can handle? Is this something someone else can manage? Is this an opportunity for someone else to learn or grow or build or have professional development in. I don't have to be everything to everyone. I don't have to do all the things. And some of that comes back to that external validation, right? Our value being tethered to something that we can produce, something we can create for others, versus our value just being intrinsically a part of who we are. And so we do more, we collect more. And when you have those spaces where your external validation is required in order for you to feel whole, what that's actually do is signaling a wounding or a place where you can work on some healing within yourself.
She's speaking truth, girls.
Well,
Yes,
you
she
know,
is.
I
Yes,
really
she
wanted
is.
to delve more into that perfectionist issue, and I will. But I feel that we're giving our audience, we're shortchanging our audience, because we didn't delve into who you are sufficiently to explain why you have this breadth of knowledge. So give us a little bit about your background and what you're currently working on.
So I have worked across multiple industries in the course of my professional career. I never really had a linear arc. I actually read Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings when I was like 8 or 9. And I was like, oh, adults can have 19 different careers? Great, say less. So I've never been the person that growing up wanted to have one job. I've always consistently moved through different industries, but the through line of it has always been supporting people, helping people, specifically supporting Black women. And so my work has always lived there. I often like to say the work that I'm purposed to do and I'm here to do is help people create lives they don't need to escape. If you have a life that feels full to you, if you have a life that feels balanced to you, if you have a life that feels healthy to you, and understanding there are seasons and ebbs and flows and you have proper ways to cope and manage those, you can have a life that you don't necessarily need to escape and you can manage and live within. And so I am a licensed therapist. And in practice, I'm an executive and performance coach. And so I really just work specifically with melanated women, Black and brown women in leadership positions in order to help them get out of their own way, get unstuck, unlearn narratives and unhealthy stories and beliefs that were never theirs to begin with, things that we have to be the best, we have to go above and beyond, we have to burn ourselves out so other people can shine. I help remove some of those unnecessary, unhealthy, and quite frankly, untrue beliefs that have been put upon us and that we have then inherited ourselves.
So I have one of those, and I'm wondering what you think about this. So I grew up in a household where, and really my whole community I think was kind of like this, that you can get everything you need from prayer and from the church. And you really don't need therapy, you don't need to talk about counseling, none of that stuff is necessary. All you need is to pray and get on your knees. Now, we know as Black women that now many of us know that that's just simply not true. Right. And I have long thought about, I really would love to have someone to talk to about different things. I mean, I don't have anything pressing, but just to process things, just to kind of reorder things, and I just haven't even made time for a therapist. So make a case for me and so many other women who may be watching this show right now who really just need to sit themselves down somewhere and talk to someone about life and processing life.
Okay, so let me start with, remember I said I had a bunch of careers throughout the course of my professional tenure. One of them was a minister and working in a church, a mega church in Texas as the director of programs. So I'm gonna give a little Bible. I'm from the South, I'm gonna give a little Bible right quick and then we'll get into the other piece of it. So God gives spiritual gifts, right? In the Bible, in the book of Acts, God says that some were given the gift of prophecy, some were given the gift of tongue, some were given the gift of hospitality, some were given the gift of leadership. Some were given the gift of wisdom. Those gifts include someone who has decided to go out and be a nurturer and a healer and support people in the areas of their life where they need help and support and guidance. That is a gift. And so in actuality, you don't just need prayer and the church, because God has created and put these gifts in people who want to be of service to you in addition to prayer and the church. You have these other options and these other gifts available to you, because I promise you, being able to be a healer, being able to be a therapist, it is a calling, because it can be overwhelming at times. And so that is still within that realm. If that is the philosophy that you subscribe to, that's Bible. It is still in there in some capacity. As it relates to being able to go speak with someone and talk to someone, that is truly about you deciding you are going to choose you. You are going to love yourself to choose you. Now, yes, I am a licensed therapist, and I don't believe talk therapy is for everyone. I do think people need to identify what healing modalities work for them. Talk therapy is a great entry. It's a great way to learn what might work for you instead. Some people enjoy Reiki, energy healing work. Some people enjoy acupuncture. Some people enjoy meditation. Some people enjoy yoga. Some people enjoy dance. Like, you figure out what works for you, but there is something about talking to someone that is objective as it relates to whatever issues and things that you are processing to help you unpack some things. And for a lot of Black women, I like to start with, if you are going to go to therapy, what you're getting on some level is someone to be you for you. Because I'm pretty sure you are the one that most people go to when they have problems, when they have issues, when they have questions, when they have concerns, when they want advice, when they need this and this and this and that. You get to have a you for you. Why not start with that?
I love that.
I really want to go back to the perfectionist now.
She wants therapy now.
Yeah, I want therapy. Or at least I want to be coached. I want to be coached. So what is it, because I might have the definition for it, but what is it that you would define a perfectionist to be?
So let me give a little context. I think perfectionists get, specifically for Black and brown people, I think there's a different way that we've engaged perfectionism over generations. For us specifically, I believe perfectionism is a coping mechanism for a trauma response. Quite often, our desire and our need and the requirement and the learning to be perfect is what kept us safe. If I followed these rules to a T, if I did exactly what I needed to do here, if I dressed specifically this way, if I spoke this way, if I did all of these things that I am being told I have to be acceptable, I will be safe. I will be left alone. And in some instances, I will get to remain invisible. That will keep me safe. That will keep my family safe. And that has evolved over time. And again, we have, ingested that and taken that in. And so a lot of our perfectionism truly is a coping mechanism around feeling like you're safe and feeling like you're in control.
At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
So one of the myths or the insidiousness, I would say, of perfectionism is, unlike other coping mechanisms, you actually see positive results. So you don't necessarily believe it's a bad thing, right? Sometimes, I'm a perfectionist, that's the humble brag, right? But what perfectionism is actually doing is keeping you in a perpetual state of fear and elevated alert. which is definitely not healthy for you. And
Kind of being obsessive.
a little obsessive, but you get so familiar with it that you get used to the chaos and used to that type of thing. And on some level, you start to crave it. And so you start to look for ways to be the perfectionist in the space. And so you may, unintentionally or intentionally, like, mess something up so you can then go fix it. Or over volunteer to help someone out with something, or take the lead on something, or go beyond your capacity, because if I can control it, if I can be in charge, I won't have to worry about being rejected. I won't have to worry about being blindsided by something. I won't have to worry about people finding out that secretly the things that I am saying to myself about myself might actually be true. So if I can control my output, no one will ever know that inside I may kind of secretly feel like an imposter, or that I'm not enough. And so we have, it does lead to a bit of a level of, it can lead to some level of obsession, but it leads to very high productivity, very high achievers. So you're like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm getting beautiful results out of this. Yes, you're getting great output, but you are quite potentially harming yourself in the process. And the more I put out, the more I harm myself internally. That is where we start to see things like burnout. We start to see things like having breakdowns. We start to see things like having depressive episodes. And so it still comes with a cost. But people don't talk about the cost because they're more focused on the end results.
Mm-hmm. I want to pick up on that, because on the other side of that desire for perfection, in the business sense, oftentimes are results. And as you said, results that you are praised for. A lot of our audience are business owners. And I think our conversations show that in a lot of these conversations, they still feel that they do things perfectly, they execute their vision perfectly, and they cannot delegate anything to anyone else. And so perhaps they're not growing their businesses as much as they could. What can you say practically to women who are in that kind of situation?
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question correctly. So this is for women who are entrepreneurs and do not think that they need additional support, or are not comfortable.
They're not comfortable. Of course they need additional support, but nobody's going to do it the way that I do it, and I have to do it the right way. And so I try to delegate. I wind up doing everything myself.
It's so
not anyone I know.
Not anyone I know, and definitely not me specifically. Not me. I've never had this issue. Not at all. I don't. This is going to be hard to answer. I've never experienced this with anybody I've worked with. Apologies in advance to everyone who I have worked with and have been this person. Let me lead by saying, so I have my own business, and when you run your own business, it's definitely hard, because you are both selling and offering some type of product, and you are the product, right? So you are the admin and the product at the same time. And you can have a vision for it, and it is your baby. You want it to look a certain way, you want it to move a certain way, you want it to be received a certain way, and that's lovely, and that's all well and good. The thing that we have to be mindful of, and I want to invite women who are in this particular place of being, is what is more important? Being right, or being of service and reaching the goal that you ultimately wanted to meet? And the reason I say that is because sometimes the end goal doesn't necessarily have to happen the way that you have specifically envisioned for it to happen. Yes, it will get to this end spot, but your way is not the only way that is going to get you there. And I know that is hard to imagine, and that is hard to believe, but we have to hold our company, we have to hold our businesses with an open hand. If you think of it truly like a child, you can have an idea for what you want your child to be like, how you want them to grow, what you want them to be involved in, what you want them to learn, how you want them to show up in the world. But at the end of the day, they are going to make the decision around what works for them. You can give guidance, you can give boundaries, you can give containers, you can give wisdom, but you can't do it for them. At some point, they are going to have to do it for themselves. And they may learn other ways to get to where they need to be. There is not, we're going to go back to that airport example, right? So now I have enough gas to get to the airport. Now I have enough capacity. But there's not one route to get there. There are different ways that you can get there. And what you honestly end up doing when you don't allow other people to come in and support you in your gift and in your goal is you rob yourself of truly having the success that you ultimately want. That really is a self-sabotaging behavior. And I'm going to name this, and it may not be popular, but to some extent it is arrogant to think that only you can do this one thing well.
It's arrogant, and it's also limiting.
Extremely limiting. And it speaks back to the needing to have control. Some of that is also a bit of a coping mechanism. And I get that they don't do it like me. Mm-hmm. They won't do it like I do it. They probably won't. And it may take them a little bit longer to figure it out.
And
ultimately,
in ultimate humility, they may do it better than you.
They may do it better.
That is ultimate humility. You have to accept that it's really possible that somebody does it better than
me. But oftentimes women get into the piece of, well, I try to give someone a chance. When we do it one time, it's one and done. You don't get another. One person messed up that one order one time in 2002, and now we are in 2024, and you're like, that one time. This is why I don't let people help me. Sis, this was in 2002, right?
And this is why you're also the only person making breakfast at your restaurant.
Right. You will grow your business.
3 people, right?
Exactly.
You can only serve with so many people.
But if that's enough for you and that is success for you, okay. But you can't grow your business running it completely by yourself. You're not meant to. You are entrusted with the idea to hold it, to protect it, to cultivate it. And our business ideas and our entrepreneurial gifts and goals are not meant for us to hold alone. It is also meant for us to bring in other people and help develop them professionally.
I love that. And on that note, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wrap up, right, ladies? So this was terrific. Thank you so much for being with us today. We enjoyed talking with you, and we look forward to your book, girlfriend.
Thank
All
you.
about
Thank you.
Retiring Superwoman. So until the next time,
Be empowered.